Thank you very much. Well, good morning. My name is Jose Ramon Lopez Portillo. I'm a member of the UN 10-member group of high-level representatives of civil society, private sector, and scientific community to support the UN Technology Facilitation Mechanism. My pleasure to be here with you and to moderate this special event on STI Roadmaps, on the role of digital technologies in agriculture production consumption, co-hosted by FAO, DESA, UNESCO, and EU JRC. In a time of rising global food insecurity, this event will discuss the important role that digital technologies can play nationally and regionally, including the role of the own UN and designing and reviewing STI for SDG roadmaps, as well as implementing policy actions to better mobilize technologies to address global challenges, including food security, gender equality, social inclusion. I wish to say just a couple of words regarding this, because I'm very happy to participate again in a FAO event. It feels like coming back home, really, after I spent 15 years in various roles, first as permanent representative of Mexico and later as independent chairman of the council. Now as a member of the G10 of the UN TFN, we have been elaborating and this endeavor also includes conceptual descriptions and practical advice to create a globally coherent, resilient, far-reaching, scalable, self-learning and self-reinforcing innovation ecosystem based on a global network of banks of ideas and funds for innovation. This is my side of the effort. So the aim, of course, is to systematically accelerate research and innovative solutions to achieve the SDGs in a collaborative, in a free, inclusive, sustainable and coherent way among all countries and social groups, including small farmers and vulnerable communities. A prerequisite, of course, for success is bridging the digital divide and making universal internet access and Internet of Things a top priority for all national development plans, STI policies, and SDG strategies. As we all know so well, accomplishing food security and SDG 2 is conditional to achieving most other SDGs. Innovating, absorbing, adapting cutting-edge science and technology in agri-food sector, particularly AI, can boost productivity. It can also mitigate risks and vulnerabilities in the supply chain phases. It can connect financial tools and markets, extend smart farming through IoT, and sustainably lift the poorest and most vulnerable out of undignified and hopeless circumstances. A strategic problem, of course, that we are facing is that the state of readiness, capabilities, and receptivity to implement AI and digital technologies in developed countries is rapidly outpacing that of developing countries, thus increasing their irrelevance with the resulting inequality. Well, I don't want to continue telling my side of the story, and without further ado, I want to invite the Undersecretary General of DESA, Mr. Junhua Li, to provide his insights in this regard through his video message. I ask the video message to be played, please.
Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, I'm pleased to welcome you to the special event on science, technology, and innovation roadmaps held at the margins of first FAO Science and Innovation Forum. Thank you to the co-organizers from FAO, the Office of the Secretary General's Envoy on Technology, European Commission Joint Research Center, and UNESCO. This event provides a timely opportunity to examine how digital technologies can more effectively contribute to achieving the 2030 Agenda and SDGs. From climate mitigation to adaptation to sustainable agri-food systems, digital technologies can be leveraged as an important tool to advance progress. Today, we will hear real-life examples of digital technologies applied to improving production capacity of sustainable agriculture and realizing the efficient operation of agricultural management system, and for helping alleviate the food crisis. Today's event is also an occasion to discuss science, technology, and innovation roadmaps as a powerful policy-making and multi-stakeholder engagement tools for applying digital solutions to the SDGs. STI roadmaps can help plan, communicate, and facilitate actions, track progress, and foster a learning environment to align and adapt digital technology to development objectives. We will highlight the importance of the synergies, international partnerships, and the multi-stakeholder initiatives for improving the design and the implementation of STI roadmaps. Dear colleagues, we have to ensure equitable access to digital technologies, and in their adoption and application, we must protect the privacy of the individuals, encourage ethical use, and minimize risks to the security and the human rights. DESA has supported the United Nations Technology Facilitation Mechanism and worked with partners around the world to bolster innovation, disseminate technology solutions, and strengthen the interface between science and policy. Together, we have made important gains in peer learning and knowledge sharing, including through the Partnership in Action on Science, Technology, and Innovation for SDGs roadmaps. Today's special event will keep this momentum going. Let me assure you that UN DESA stands ready to work with you and help to harness the potential of STI roadmaps for digital transformation to realize the SDGs. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lee, for this encouraging message. And I now give the floor to the second speaker at this opening session. You have the floor, Undersecretary General Mr. Amandeep Singh Gill. Please, and there's going to be a video played as well. So please play the video.
Good morning, good afternoon. I'm very happy to participate in this FAO special event on the role of science, technology, and innovation in agricultural production and consumption. Ladies and gentlemen, our world is in the midst of a hunger pandemic. 2022 has been a year of unprecedented hunger never experienced in many decades. We have the lingering impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, ongoing global geopolitical tensions, and the climate crisis. These have all combined to push millions of people into starvation. This is an untenable situation. We must leverage all that we have, in particular technology, to address the food insecurity crisis. In this era of volatility and uncertainty, digital innovation, digital technologies can facilitate productivity and better consumption in the agriculture sector, supporting a global population that's increasing by over 80 million people each year. Digital technologies are already changing the agriculture and the food system. by allowing data from different sources to be brought together to facilitate agriculture production and the use of inputs in targeted ways. For instance, information and communication technologies such as soil mapping and aerial imagery are being deployed to gain vital information about how and when to irrigate crops for maximum efficiency. According to recent research, accelerating connectivity and the use of ICTs in agriculture industries could add as much as $500 billion in additional value to global gross domestic product by 2030. So this is the potential of the entry-level technologies in this domain. Going further, open data platforms and digital public infrastructure are going to be crucial to the agriculture sectors. Nowadays, we have open data platforms for meteorological data and climate warning, for predicting rainfall, for predicting crop diseases, sharing information on pest management, on soil health, on wholesale and consumer prices of food items. These platforms can also be used to support agriculture extension, dairy farming, and the use of artificial insemination techniques for cattle. Thus, they can support the whole agricultural and food system in ways that was not possible before. Online platforms used in the digital economy can also significantly support trade in agriculture and food products by connecting private sector suppliers, the public sector authorities, hard-to-reach buyers and sellers in new markets. Digital platforms enable small and medium-sized merchants to engage in regional or global trade with minimal or even no investment in supply chains. In this manner, there is more stability in trading of food items and agriculture products across the system and more resilience overall globally. These platforms can optimize supply and demand of agriculture goods and services, increase transparency in the market, reduce food waste, and help markets reach optimum equilibrium. With the support of digitalization, agriculture can also be made more resilient in environmental terms. Agriculture and fisheries are highly dependent on the climate, and climate change can disrupt food availability, reduce access to food, and affect food quality. Agriculture is also the main income source for an estimated 2/3 of adults living in poverty. Yet, the poor typically lack the resources to respond effectively to production challenges posed by extreme weather. Advances in digital technologies can help us address these challenges. For instance, big data and machine learning can be used to identify vulnerable areas that are vulnerable to extreme weather and help governments to deploy preventive measures. Recognizing this vast potential of digital technologies, I am pleased that the FAO and this event's co-organizers have been making these targeted and concerted efforts in this area. My office is committed to deepening our partnerships with the FAO, with DESA, with the Joint Research Center of the European Union, and a range of academic, technology, and private sector partners to ensure that advances in digital technology are optimally harnessed to achieve more sustainable agriculture and secure food systems. The role of multi-stakeholder coalitions of actors from international organizations, from the private sector, from academia, from research and civil society to pool together agriculture-related data sets and create an alliance of research and innovation to explore digital solutions would be a critical priority for my office in order to help address food insecurity. I look forward to the discussions today and hope to work closely with you in bringing forward the important role of digital in agriculture and food systems. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. St. Gill, for your opening remarks. Now I give the floor to FAO's Chief Economist, Máximo Torero Cuye, who is joining us online to share with us his views from the perspective, of course, of the host. You have the floor, Mr. Maximo.
Thank you very much, and for the chance and for the invitation to be part of this event. So today, as you know, the world is facing significant challenges, as my colleagues have already mentioned, because of conflict, because of slowdowns and downturns, which were the consequence of COVID-19, and also, of course, because of climate change. What this has resulted is that we have, in 2021, 128 million people in chronic hunger, an increase of 46 million from 2020 and 150 million from 2019. And we are also in a food access crisis this year, and we could be facing a food availability crisis the following year. All this is happening when we are 7 years away from the deadline to achieve the Vision 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals, and therefore we need to take bold actions. But responding effectively to the many global and regional challenges we are facing is a daunting task, and to make effective target interventions, we all have a crucial role to play to build together sustainability and resilience of our agricultural food systems. We have no other choice but to take bold action now and to ensure that we are producing enough food, but more importantly, that food and healthy diets are available and accessible to all, leaving no one behind by using less inputs and generating less emissions. So we need to transform these challenges into opportunities. And for that, we believe that innovation and digital technologies can play a significant role. But we also need to understand the limitations and how we can overcome those so that we can have a process which is inclusive. Intervening with science and innovation, digital technologies can provide the right answers, as we can already see the profound impact that they are having on vulnerable populations and societies. Digital technologies have indeed transformed effects on food, agricultural, livestock, fisheries, and aquaculture, and land use planning, land use change, and forestry, and contribute significantly towards sustainable, efficient, inclusive, and resilient agri-food systems. The FAO Science, Technology, and Innovation are paramount to deliver a strategic framework of 2022-2031. And why this is so important? Because digital technologies have the potential to help to minimize the many market failures that the rural sector face, and especially the agricultural sector. It helps to meet the growing demand for safe and nutritious food. We can use traceability, and we can use artificial intelligence to improve on the way we trace commodities. We can better manage our natural resources because we can have series of early warning systems. We can have soil maps digitalized that will allow farmers to have and use the proper blending depending on the acidity of their soils and depending on how much, what they are producing and what is the gap with what the soil has. It can contribute to high quality growth in productivity. It can ensure inclusion if we are able to compensate the three major constraints that today digital technologies face, which are access cost, the first C, which is the cost of accessibility, the content that matches the need of the farmer, and the capabilities, so that we can provide tools that farmers can overcome the capabilities constrained in terms of level of education and capacity to read and write. And with all that, they can help to achieve sustainable development goals. But as I said before, we have to be realistic because digital technologies are not a panacea. We need to do a lot with them. They will work as long as the content that we put inside is the proper one, and they will work as long as people can really use them, the capability constraint. And for that, we need to create global public goods, and we need to find ways in which we can accelerate the delivery of these technologies so that a smallholder, which is the one that is the most budget constrained, can have capacity to do precision farming, as a large farmer can do because they can afford all the state-of-the-art technologies. And that requires the development of international public goods and requires the development of information. So we must honor this important commitment, and we need to find ways in which we can accelerate this process, because as I said before, the goal and the objective is to have a cost-effective mean, which are the digital component of digital technologies, but that will be extremely effective if we have the proper content and is designed in such a way that people can use it. Knowledge-intense innovations, in particular digital innovations, can significantly improve access to information, advisory, and financial services. These innovations can also help small-scale agricultural producers, men and women, to innovate their farms and gain access to upper levels of value chains, providing them with tools and knowledge products in hand. Financial services are central, and digital technologies could help, if used appropriately, to make the farmers to have better information linked to the financial system, and therefore to reduce the risk to be able to have better scoring systems to achieve and have access to finance. FAO has a central role in promoting the use and adoption of digital technologies throughout the agri-food system, as well as in advising and promoting a policy agenda and policy investments to address the digital divide and massify digital benefits, making sure we leave no one behind. For that, FAO has launched, or will be launching soon, the International Platform for Digital Food and Agriculture, which is exactly trying to bring with the governments the best practices so that we can leapfrog and learn from mistakes in other countries, and countries can have the governance and institutionality to assure that we can massify this type of services. Together with FAO regional and country offices, FAO is also committed to support governments across the world through stages of digital transformation, from strategies to implementation of critical digital agriculture programs, projects and solutions, as well as through an experience sharing. In addition, FAO develops digital value-added services to assist countries in developing benefits to rural communities, such as the hand-in-hand US Spatial Platform and the Digital Services Portfolio or early warning systems. FAO is contributing to the UN Secretary General Roadmap of Digital Cooperation by championing the digital public goods. And we will continue developing our inventory of digital public goods and offer them to governments in need. FAO also has developed an initiative of the 1,000 villages. And the 1,000 villages is a way for us to scale up e-agriculture, which means all the portfolio of digital tools that we have to accelerate the process of productivity and proper content to farmers, with e-services, which we are trying to provide all the services at the village level, but also the capacity to create a digital community that will allow farmers to diversify the income by having access to other types of services and other types of activities that they can do, like, for example, ecotourism. To conclude, let me reiterate that science and innovation supported by digitalization are the major driving force of the future towards the transformation of our agri-food systems and achieving the Sustainable Development Goals through an enabling global policy framework for wide-scale application of digital agricultural tools. Under our strategic program, we want to accelerate this process, but again, assuring that we will have inclusiveness, and for that, we need to cover the 3 Cs, the cost, the content, and the capabilities. And we need to assure that we can have and provide digital services with the state-of-the-art technologies to our farmers to minimize their exclusion and to minimize the asymmetries of information and market failures that they face. Thank you for your time and attention, and I hope you will have a great seminar today. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Torero Cuyen. Now you have heard our speakers at this opening event have set the scene for the upcoming panels 1 and 2, and which they will probably dig much deeper into the scope of this event. So passing now to panel 1, which is building innovation ecosystem through road mapping digital technologies in agriculture production and consumption. Our highly qualified and experienced group of panelists for this event will discuss how to build an innovation ecosystem through road mapping digital technologies in agriculture production and consumption. And we all have the guiding questions that were in the concept note and program. And we also have a list of other 12 questions from participants. In view of time limitations, I ask the 6 panelists to please not exceed, let's say, 4 minutes each, so that we can have time for Q&A. I now give the floor to Dr. Sara Tione, Principal Economist in the Ministry of Agriculture of Malawi. You have the floor, madam.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I hope you can see my screen and you can hear me. All right, so I'll take you through the presentation, which looks at the digital technologies and in agriculture production system, what are the lessons and the gaps in Malawi. Overall, I'm not going to dwell specific to the questions, I'll just present overall what the lessons and the gaps in Malawi are. Okay. All right, so innovation in the knowledge economy, access to information is a cost that has created asymmetry among different players. And this cost emanates from policies, institutional rules, regulations, political factors that are there. These are the ones that end up creating information cost, and in the way others have power in the market or in the agriculture sector, in any player. Therefore, information, innovation, science, and technology have over time contributed to easing up this cost. Since we look at the beginning of the 21st century, we have seen the innovation in mobile phones, where different sectors have taken advantage of this technology to promote the sector, one of which include the agriculture markets. We look at the healthy sector. Then we also have the shocks and notification. Even the political participation has taken advantage of this innovation. Additionally, we have also seen promotion of financial inclusion through the development of the innovation, which is the mobile phone. Despite that, since the 21st century, we have registered this innovation and advancement. We still have a digital divide, and closing this divide is important for sustaining, for achieving the sustainable development goals. Thus, digital development and reducing the digital divide is key for Malawi, particularly for the agricultural sector, which is the mainstay of the economy. In 2004, one of the objectives was to harness information and communication technology as a strategic tool for rural value addition and empowerment. Studies have shown that this registered significant results in reducing the cost of information. Over time, since this initiative was put in place, we have seen the uptake of such innovation in different areas, including access to information, access to extension. Studies are there showing that even getting vaccines for livestock is some of the ways that the mobile technologies have taken forward. Additionally, as well, we have also seen the increase in financial inclusion through mobile transaction. That means the digital development that has happened over time has also helped to promote the agriculture sector in different ways. Despite that, we still see that the digital divide exists in Malawi. Currently, the major challenges include the electricity supply, because for us to be able to harness the technology, we need electricity supply. At the rate that we are using now, almost 45% of the population are the ones that are mobile connected, 15% are using internet, which is an increase from 9.5% in the last 3 years. We're still far behind in closing this gap to make sure that the registered benefits that are presented area can cover more beneficiaries, more smallholder farmers, and the agriculture sector as a whole. This limited coverage also has created limited development in skills that can spearhead the transformation. And overall, the governance framework, the cybersecurity and data protection framework is still not well established in the country. So in conclusion, through science and innovation, Malawi can develop technologies that can promote profitability of agricultural value chains, supply chains, especially among smallholder farmers. Learning from COVID-19, we have been enlightened that there is a need to enhance digital interaction as a key development agenda, even for developing countries like Malawi. Therefore, reducing the digital divide is a development issue in the country. Thank you so much for that, and that's the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tione, for this exciting presentation and the fantastic advances that you have managed to introduce in Malawi, and the prospect of continuing doing so in the future. I now pass on the floor to Professor Wu Wenbin, who is Director General of the Institute of Agricultural Resources and Regional Planning of the Chinese Academy for Agricultural Sciences in Beijing. You have the floor, sir.
Okay. Dear colleagues, good morning, good afternoon, as well as good evening. Today, I'm so much honored to participate in this special issue and to share the innovation and applications of digital technology in agriculture. So let me use some slides to briefly introduce with you the information about China digital transformation of agriculture. So we know agricultural digital transformation is the development trend in China as well as across the world. But you know, China agriculture is featured by a small hot farming system. So we meet a lot of challenges. For instance, in the production side, our production with a small scale and scaled productions, in this case, it's very difficult to standardize the production, and also with very higher cost, as well as the weak ability to resist risks. So this one side. And the other side is on the consumption side, we can say, because China is very big with a very a large population. So the consumption is quite diverse. In this case, it's very difficult to accurately grasp the market dynamics. So this is all the challenges we're facing in China agriculture. So we need the digital innovation to overcome these challenges. So I use one slide to summarize the diagram of agricultural digital transformation in China, because we see a lot of cases in China happening already. So this is the, I use 3 keywords to summarize. The first one is collection, because digital technology can provide the easy way to collect everything together. So we use the internet, 5G, Beidou, and as well as some other digital finance, like mobile payment and e-currency. So this kind of digital infrastructure can provide by the government a very good collection between the consumers and the producers. So this is the first keywords. The second one is from the consumption side. We can say we can easily to measure and aggregate the scattered, diverse, and uncertain demands into concentrated and determined demand. Because when we buy something from online, so we use the big data to summarize the consumption activities. We know where is the consumption behavior behind the different consumers. So all this information will share with the businessmen, like e-commerce, because you know the Alibaba, JD, Pinduoduo in China, and so on. So once the business has information, they can guide the producer on the right side from the farmers, companies, and so on. So they have information, they can use IoT and also the digital tool to optimize and adjust agricultural production in a standardized way so as to reduce the cost and also to match the market dynamics. So in this case, we can say by using the digital technology, we have the connections and also we have the optimizations as well as the industrial activation. So in this case, we have digital, we have the digitalized consumption, digitalized production, as well as digital market. So from both sides, we need the innovation in digital platform, financial support, financial policies, as well as the digital technology itself, and also some others like land use planning and also insurance policies. So by combining this technology, data, platform, and policies together, we built the digital ecosystem of food value chain. So this is the this is the basic way in China to develop digital agriculture. So this is the last slide. I want to say is that digital transformation of agriculture is a gradual, complex, as well as system changing process. So which goes beyond technological innovation alone. So we need multiple innovations in policies, institutions, technology and talent development, as well as business models and other aspects, which needs to be considered to build an ecosystem of digital transformations. So this needs to effectively combine the different efforts from the government, industrial, education, and research, and to consider how to enable different actors to play their unique role in this process. That's my very brief introduction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Wenbin, for this description of the advances in digital agriculture, which is benefiting, obviously, all communities, or at least promises to do so. Your experiences prove that digitalization is the way to penetrate all levels of society and bring positive effects, and mainly through the standardization, as you described, of agricultural production and consumption, reducing costs and extending efficiency and welfare of all three wheels of the helix model. I will now give the floor to Dr. Wilhelmina Quay, who is Director of CSIR, Science and Technology Policy Research Institute of Ghana. Madam, you have the floor.
Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Okay, so just to quickly go through the slides and also connect to the discussion. I'm not able to scroll. Okay, yeah. So for us, we have developed a STI for SDG roadmap, and one of the sectors that we are focusing on is the agriculture sector, so SDG 2, and we also know the linkages to other SDGs as well. And so in our voluntary national reporting system, we realize that we have a lot to catch up in terms of food security, that is bridging the gap between for those who are food insecure. So we have also concentrated on the technologies, and we are actually looking at options. I'm not able to scroll down. Yeah. So these are the rural and urban areas in terms of proportions that are food insecure that we need to feed. And so for us to do this, we need to look at the technologies, the biotechnologies, as well as the technologies for marketing, especially, and also for post-harvest management. And so in the STI for SDG roadmap, we have filed up activities that we are actually targeting in terms of implementation. And also we have some proposed owners and partners that can come on board. So we are looking at quality and well-packaged food products to enhance our post-harvest management. We are looking at Internet of Things in agriculture to enhance online marketing of agriculture products, biotechnology for improving breeding systems, and also looking at biofortification, as well as technologies for livestock, fisheries, and poultry. We also not neglecting the seed security system, as well as agro biodiversity. So in the mapping, again, we intend to scale up productivity improvement technologies such as the greenhouse production systems that is currently ongoing in Ghana. We are also looking at early warning emergency preparedness systems, intensify advocacy around these technologies, and we have also developed a science agenda for agriculture, which was done by FARA, Forum for Agricultural Research. We're also looking at scaling up extension and business advisory services. So these are the elements that you can find in our STI for SDGs roadmap. Fast forwarding, during the COVID time, we have realized a lot of innovation, especially in extension and advisory services, in terms of developing new products to meet customer needs, the increasing demand for organic products, online marketing of agricultural products, as well as increasing the production of import substitute products, new food products to build immune systems for weak and vulnerables, and taking advantage of such opportunities, however, will come with productivity improvement technologies such as the greenhouse production systems and biotechnology for improved breeding. It also calls for building capacity in e-agriculture, innovation platforms, and strengthening the research and extension linkage systems that we have here in Ghana. We currently did a survey looking at the frontier technologies adoption by sector, and realize that agriculture sector is not doing so well, and it's because we have not laid down the infrastructure bit, issues to do with incentives for people to adopt the technologies. And as a government, to be able to lay down the infrastructure bit, we need a lot of investment in this. So you can see agro-processing, for example, AI, we just have about 15% adoption level. But these are even more, large-scale farms. So what about the small-scale farmers? So we need to do a lot of investment in this area to increase the adoption of frontier technologies, as well as laying the grounds for the small-scale farmers to adopt. Especially the focus is on the small-scale farmers because they form the larger proportion of the farming community. Again, we at CSIR have tested some technologies, and thanks to the Global Affairs Canada through modernizing agriculture here in Ghana, CSIR has developed technology portal where we put all the technologies that we have developed, and you can find it on the website that I've indicated. We also have AgriTech Advisor. This platform gives access to farmers to have information, and you can see as example of some information that the farmers are requiring through the CSR AgriTech Advisor platform. So we are still encouraging investment and donors to come in to help in this direction of adoption of new technologies, because this is the way to go. Again, you can see that CSR has a biotechnology, a world internationally acknowledged biotechnology lab, a big space for researchers and students across the sub-region to also use biotechnology to increase the yields gaps that we have, to increase yields of the staple crops that we have. AI applications identified in current survey included the use of drones for farm subvision and application of agrochemicals, the use of software to monitor farm activities and applications in irrigation. I'm just about ending. So thank you for this, the audience that you have given me, and I appreciate very much for this platform. I wish that we'll have more donors coming in to help us to adopt frontier technology, especially in the agriculture sector, spanning from production to consumption. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Quay. You have described how a country that decides to do so can take leaps forward and achieve and improve food security, nutrition, and sustainable agriculture by understanding, absorbing, adapting, and using the right technologies, knowledge, and best practices, and also joining forces with best private sector and forces from the international community. Well, I now give the floor to Dr. Agnes Lutomia, Head of Program STI Knowledge and Society in the African Center for Technology Studies in Kenya. You have the floor, please. Dr. Agnes Lutomia, are you there? Can anybody see Dr. Lutomia?
I think we might have to come back to her after.
All right. Okay. Let us do that then. Well, now I give the floor to Dr. Viktor Nedovic, Director of Serbia Accelerating Innovation and Entrepreneurship Project in the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology Development in Serbia. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to take a part in this excellent exchange of our joint efforts to bring digital technologies in agriculture, production, consumption to improve actually this stuff. I would like to also thanks a lot your United Nations agencies, but also European Commission and Joint Research Center under the umbrella of European Commission for all the support we received along the years. Speaking of the National Strategic Framework, I can say that design and implementation of the smart specialization strategy in our case that is extended to the STI roadmaps for SDGs. The one of the recognized priority vertical one is food for the future as a strategic direction of my country. The greatest potential in this area lies in the innovative trend, which involves the use of natural resources in an optimized way and transition into modern development resource. The food for future priority area, and especially its sub areas like high-tech agriculture and sustainable food production chain directly contribute to second SDG world without hunger. Within the action plan of the smart specialization strategy that is extended to the STI roadmaps for SDGs, Serbian government has implemented a number of policy incentives aiming at fostering research and development and uptake of digital technologies into the agri-food sector. Just to mention some of them, we have measures 2.7 that is talking about incentive for research and development within the agriculture and food industry. The program was implemented jointly by the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Science. The idea was to foster constructive collaboration between research and development teams and agriculture and food industry businesses to focus research and development on specific needs and to improve the current technical sophistication in the farming and food production. Another one, policy measure related to the pilot project to link fast-growing food production companies with the creative industries and ICT. I will mention just a few of them more. Support measures through the IPART program aimed at decreasing productivity and competitiveness of the agri-food sector through the technological improvement and improving job opportunities in rural areas. By supporting new mechanization, new technologies, the measures also contributed to the mitigation of the climate change impact of the agriculture sector in Serbia, which directly contributes to the SDGs. Ministry of Agriculture provides here incentives, a lot of different for improving the quality of life in rural areas, like incentives in the rural infrastructure, improving rural economic activity by supporting non-agricultural activities, implementation of activities in order to increase competitiveness in terms of added value through processing and so on. Before I finish, I would like also to mention something, some very important infrastructure projects supported by the government. One of these is actually supported by both sides, by the European Commission and the government, through one very competitive call where the project won. It is Antares project, worth 28 million euros, aimed to evolve the Bioscience Institute in Serbia into European Center of Excellence for Advanced Technologies and Sustainable Agriculture and Food Security. The project is developing smart sensors and big data technologies that could help farmers produce more food in the way that is sustainable for society, farm incomes, and the environment. In addition to that, AgroSense is a digital platform developed by the same team of colleagues that provides support to the farmers and agriculture companies in monitoring the growth of crops and planning of agriculture activities. As I mentioned, it was developed by Bioscience Institute from Novi Sad and represents an important step in digitalization of agriculture and its increase in efficiency and competitiveness of Serbian producers. I would like to say that all of these experiences we already gained through different activities implementing the smart specialization strategy and the STI roadmaps for SDGs. We are aiming to share and to contribute to the joint experience and knowledge to all other countries, to the global pilot program of the United Nations. Serbia is member together with several more countries. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Nedovic. I think you have made a very important point regarding how the extension of innovation in a systemic and organized way can certainly create, absorb and adapt technologies, ideas, and solutions for all, and that this is crucial to increase productivity and the promise of advancing towards the SDGs. And we should also thank you for offering to share your experiences with other countries. If Dr. Lutomia is not available yet, Dr. Lutomia, I cannot see her. Well, in that case, we will continue with Mr. Randolph B. Hackman, who is Application Development Analyst, Alumni Engineering for Change in Nantes, France. And you, as far as I understand, you will be referring to questions 2 and 5 of the guiding question list. You have the floor, please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are joining us from. I think on this particular conversation on how can we use digital technologies to advance agricultural production, one of the things that I believe that most of the panelists addressed is that one, in our world today, the world is still recovering from the effects of COVID-19. And so when we think about COVID-19, I think what it did to us, or us as stakeholders in this particular conversation, is testing our resilience, testing our security, our thoughts of security. Pre-COVID, policies were made to be resilient, but when COVID came, we got a real feel of how resilient they were. And what I would say is that one, post-COVID, we have been made to understand clearly that resilience is not something that can exist in a vacuum, but something that is built through networking, through collaboration, through partnerships. And so what can facilitate this? This is, we can only do this when we are willing to share information between one another, if we are able to leverage on the strengths and weaknesses of each and everyone around us. So as stakeholders, one, our ability to be willing to share our ideas together, to provide a space where people can build on our ideas is very crucial. Now, in applying digital technologies in agriculture, one of the things that I really liked in the chief economist's address was that on the 3 points, the 3 C's, what I'll call the cost, content, and capabilities, as he rightfully said. Now, for most of the underdeveloped countries, this can be a key barrier or can be a great barrier when it comes to being able to contribute. One, because sometimes cost is not something that is really favorable to people in terms of finance-wise. But with organizations like as ASME and Engineering for Change, there are platforms that are created for young people, for organizations to come and test out their ideas, to come and have their ideas prototype. And what this does is that it gives the people confidence to know that they still have a role to play. Now, when we think about sharing ideas, one of the things that we have to be also mindful about is security of our ideas being shared. So one, we need organizations that will be able to spearhead. That is where national and private organizations take a role by providing systems which can govern our data, which can provide a safe space where information can be shared, knowing very well that science, technology, and innovation is driven by our ability to build on things that have been developed. When we think about innovation, it is not just something that we can just have it at a go. It is incremental, which means that there has to be a place where people can see their ideas grow over the years, which means that we as contributors might not be able to solve everything today, but we can create an enabling environment for others to take on these ideas and utilize them to the betterment of advancing the Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Hackman. This is gold for me because I've been working on how to do what you say. I mean, how to generate ideas, how to incorporate everybody, particularly the And of course, one of the big challenges is certainly inequality, not only between developed and developing countries, but also within all countries. And I think what you've said is an important statement in this regard. Well, I don't want to occupy more time. It is, we are a little bit beyond our time, which was 10:55. Could we take one or two questions from the audience, or you think, Julia, that we better move on? Julia?
I think we can move on.
Okay. We can move on. Right. Okay. All right. Okay. In that case, it's my great pleasure to give the floor to Dr. Ezra Clark, who is Director of the Division of Science Policy and Basic Science of UNESCO in Paris, France, who is going to moderate panel 2. Sir, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ramon. So now, as you'll know from the agenda, we move on to our second panel, and the title of this panel is STI Frontiers, Opportunities and Challenges in the Transformation of Agri-Food Systems. So, distinguished participants, let's first thank the speakers in panel 1. And I'd also like to start really by commending the countries that actively engaged in the process of harnessing STI for the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. And we heard a little about that in that session, and assure of UNESCO's continued support of STI for SDG initiative and the joint UN actions to support this. So Thanks very much. It's a great pleasure for me to be able to moderate this panel. As we know, STI for SDG roadmaps are considered to have really a potential for reducing the digital divide and supporting the digital inclusion of disadvantaged groups, especially following this COVID pandemic. And as we just heard in the first panel, that road mapping and harnessing STIs, particularly digital technologies in agriculture, production and consumption, is really crucial to building robust and inclusive innovation ecosystems. And I'd like now, please, to invite the speakers in panel 2 to present on the opportunities and challenges of how STI for SDGs roadmaps will be mobilized to address the rising issues in the agri-food system. We have 6 excellent distinguished speakers in this panel, and depending on timing, we'll see a Q&A afterwards. So we can please ask if each speaker will speak for a maximum of 4, absolute maximum 5 minutes, and I appeal to you to stay on time. So as was mentioned, we're slightly over time, so without further ado, can I please invite our first speaker, this Mr. Alessandro Rinaldi. He's the head of the Territorial Development Unit, Joint Research Centre of the European Commission in Seville, Spain. Sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I would like to apologize because I'm connecting from an airport. I'm traveling now, so please interrupt me if you feel that the level of background noise is too high, as my colleague, Dr. Angela Sarcina, is ready to step in. Dear speakers, colleagues and friends, I'm very pleased to be part of this panel today, share some of the outcome of our work on STI for SDGs roadmaps, mainly realized together with the UN Interagency Task Team on STI for SDGs roadmap. On our side, and on the side of the European Commission, a place-based approach is what has always characterized our work. And I would like to emphasize this topic today. In the past few years, we have been updating, adjusting, upgrading our methodology for the design of STI for SDGs roadmaps. Viktor Nedovic from Serbia mentioned the name that we used to give to this methodology in the EU context, which is smart specialization, in order to be able not only to support the achievement of the global goals at the local level, but also to be able to address of the European context, as subnational levels of government are particularly strong in the European Union, but also is, I think, very important for any country in the world, as the SDGs, in my personal opinion, cannot be really achieved unless local governments and local communities are actively involved. I would like to mention an example, again, coming from the Republic of Serbia. And Viktor spent a few words in his speech right a few minutes ago. But the actual content of what they are doing is, I would say, synthesized in an action plan shaped into an articulation of policy priorities, which are identified through the smart specialization approach, but they are also enabling a road mapping exercise that has allowed to identify and support local potentials for value creation, and at the same time orient the effort towards contributing to tackling global challenges and achieving global goals at the local level. We will be working more in the coming years on this topic. We are very pleased to continue working with all of you and eager to continue sharing experiences, knowledge, and achievements. We will be working specifically on a new project, which is called STI for SDGs in Sub-Saharan Africa. So we're going to transpose our STI for SDGs roadmaps methodology into a selected number of Sub-Saharan African countries, together with our colleagues of the Director General for International Partnership at the European Commission. And this will be a challenging exercise because, of course, we will have to identify adaptability pathways for mapping methodologies, design and implementation frameworks that would make them best fit to the African context and challenges, including, and I underline these two topics, data availability and governance patterns. Finally, let me spend a few words on a pretty new initiative, which is called, that we are running, which is called the Startup Village Forum. This is something that will be launched early 2023. And the idea behind this is to create a space of discussions between policymakers, stakeholders, and local communities on how entrepreneurship and innovation can be, I would say, enablers to make innovation ecosystems flourish in rural areas and to overcome the, I would say, dominating narrative that innovation can actually only really be effective and flourish in global cities or big cities. This has specifically a number of linkages with the agricultural production and consumption and processing context, but not necessarily limits the agenda of again, rural innovation ecosystems to the primary sector. On the contrary, I think that this initiative would allow understand how in specific context, territorial context, rural disadvantaged territorial context, the traditional agriculture and agri-food systems can be put together with new systems that might come from different origins, different ambitions of local communities, different interactions with different economic sectors. We will inform you on these initiatives, and we would really like you to contribute, to participate, to engage into these discussions. Finally, and I conclude now, we believe that the combination of these projects will allow us to keep contributing to the global endeavor on STI for SDGs roadmaps and concretely, effectively shaping, implementing action plans that mobilize local potentials and towards tackling global challenges and achieving global goals locally. So really looking forward to the rest of this event and to further discussions and achievements. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Rinaldi. That was very interesting and all the more appreciated from your airport location. Yeah. So thanks very much. And really, you know, the point made very clearly then was the crucial element of the local buy-in, engagement, and involvement local in STI for SDG policies. So as I say, we're running a bit late, so let me move directly on to our next speaker. Our next speaker, please, is Professor Sachin Chaturvedi, who is the Director General of Research Information Systems for Developing Countries in New Delhi in India. Professor, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Dr. Clark, for giving us this opportunity. I'm absolutely glad to join this panel and must congratulate our team from FAO and ECOSOC for facilitating our dialogue today. since time is extremely limited, I will straight away get into the issues that are there. I think STI for SDG is one unique initiative in terms of promoting science, technology, innovation, and trying to see how digital technologies, particularly for SDG Goal 2, may help us in terms of taking the idea forward. And there, I would very much like to emphasize on the potential to contribute an entire agri-food value chain. And this, I think, Dr. Clark, as you would appreciate, is in terms of both the indigenous crop variety selection, but also in terms of harvesting, food processing, marketing, and also the supply chain. And that would bring in efficient, inclusive, resilient, sustainable agri-food systems, which if we are seeing more from the point of view of a specific set of technologies which are now being leveraged, particularly the blockchain and the 3D printing, which are going to be extremely useful in terms of how agri instruments are coming in. And that's where with smaller farm size in developing countries and least developed countries, probably application of digital agriculture technology would be in a way leapfrogging for catching up within the SDG Goal 2. With more and more demand limitation that we are seeing and rising demand for food and the food insecurity after post-COVID crisis, SDGs require a new approach, particularly for Goal 2 and the relevant indicators that are there. And we feel that blockchain technology and ability to reduce transaction costs would help farmers, millions of them, for low-cost agriculture with digitalized manufacturing. And that, I think, would be absolutely useful in terms of how we go forward. And they, again, I think the idea of enabling producer market connect, some of that is being tried in parts of India for AgriNet and ENAM, where more and more of marketplaces for farmers are being connected with new technologies, and the enhanced focus on digitalization is helping in terms of the new apps that are coming in. They are also the apps for market procurement, but they are also the apps which are for nutrition trackers. And that, I think, is important. No need here to mention in terms of how we minimize waste and deployment of drones is taking us forward. Some of the limitations, constraints, and challenges that we are seeing is in terms of the low diffusion, but also the inability to really have the manufacturing for small farms. Still, the machinery that is coming in is for big farms, and as I said in the beginning, there's huge potential, and that would help us in bringing in AEI, the access, equity, and inclusion, and would also bring in a sort of new issues which are there in terms of reducing the dependence on chemical. One important dimension here, Dr. Clark, that I would like to bring attention to is in terms of huge rise in patenting, which is foreclosing options for those who are coping up with technology. And that's where the idea of greater awareness, skills, digital literacy, but also regulatory components and governance comes in. And this, I think, is largely in terms of how small farmers are to be benefited and in what way they can be benefited with this advancement. The technology facilitation mechanism is extremely important. The idea of digital public goods, I think, is important. I see that my time is running out. Let me stop by mentioning that a sort of indicative technology roadmap would be absolutely important. At RIS, we are very closely following the global pilot on STI for SDG, and this, we just had a conference which has come up with sort of new approaches on identifying our priorities. Let me now stop here and come back if there are any questions. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Chaturvedi. Yeah, 5 minutes is very short, but very much appreciate that insightful and thoughtful overview of digital technologies in the arena, and also some thoughts of the challenges and problems that we may be facing. So thanks very much for that. Very much.
And I have saved you 20 seconds.
It depends if you count 4 or 5 minutes as your time, but it's very much appreciated. Thank you. We're doing well, and that was a great presentation. Thank you very much. So again, let me move on, please, to our next speaker for today, and that's Mr. Tian Feng, the Dean of the Intelligent Industry Research Institute, Time in Hong Kong. Mr. Tian Feng, you have the floor. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for Dr. Clark. SDG 2, Zero Hunger, is one of the important priorities in SDGs. As an industry leader, Time adheres to the principle of sustainable development with SenseCore as the foundation, provides sense layer remote sensing interpretation platform, SenseMars perceptual intelligence and hybrid and enhanced display system, SenseFoundry platform. This technology can enable agricultural digitalization in 3 aspects: digital economy, green village, and digital governance. There are 4 ways to use AI enables agricultural digitalization. The first one is agricultural intelligence technology for visualizing agricultural resources. The second one is AI technology helps rural resource management. And the third is AI technology helps agricultural cultivation management. And the fourth is AI technology helps agricultural service management. Now I share 4 examples of AI application in agriculture. The first case is AI recognition helps pest and disease prevention and control with precision. Traditional pest prevention and control methods mainly include remote sensing monitoring, autonomous identification and photography, pesticide use, pest capture monitoring, spore capture monitoring, and others. There are problems such as low accuracy, inability to provide early warning, poor identification effect, and causing pesticide residue or pollution. Sometimes pest identification and early warning system use high definition zoom-level cameras deployed in farmland and monitoring equipment such as inspection robots and drones to collect high-definition images of crops, monitor and identify pests and disease in real time with the help of AI visual identification algorithm, automatically alert and accurately push plant protection solutions, which is helpful to realize early warning of pests and diseases, reduce pesticide usage and labor cost, and have green agriculture. The second case is AI identifies and analyzes crop growth stage and make targeted recommendation. Sometimes AI technology allow for real-time monitoring of crop growth. The crop growth analysis system use monitoring equipment such as HD cameras, drones, and inspection robots with sometimes visual. The third case is AI improve efficiency of sorting and processing crop quality control. Sometimes a crop sorting platform can take multiple shots for parallel analysis, effectively solving the image recognition problem of large crops and quickly determining crop quality. The combination of sometimes age inference
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Tianfang. That was again very brief but comprehensive overview of some what we consider very exciting technologies in AI, and very much appreciated the specific examples you gave, ranging from pest control, use of drones, all the way to quality control and sorting. Very interesting, and as I said, very exciting technologies ahead of us. So thanks very much for that presentation. We will now move on, please, to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Dr. Vittorio Venturi, who is the Scientific Coordinator and Head of the Bacteriology Lab, the International Center for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology in Trieste in Italy. Dr. Venturi, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Clark. And it's a pleasure and a privilege to take part in this FAO Science and Innovation Forum special event. So I work at the ICGB, the International Center for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology, and we contribute very aggressively towards the SDG2 and also other SDGs. We are an international intergovernmental organization, not for profit. We have 3 research institutes, one in Trieste, Italy, one in India, New Delhi, and one in Cape Town, South Africa. And we have over 45 research groups working in topics of the life sciences, engaging more than 600 scientists. We have 66 member countries that have joined our organization and are basically own and run our organizations. And in each these countries are all developing countries, and in each country we have focal points and a network of connections with the life science laboratories. We have several instruments of action. Apart from cutting edge research in our components, we have fellowships for advanced education and PhD fellowship, postdoctoral fellowships. We organize over 25 meetings and courses around the world in all different topics of life sciences. We are granting agencies. We give competitive grants in the life sciences, and we do technology transfers of, for example, biotherapeutics, diagnostics, and other technologies, and also we provide technical assistance. So coming to the topic of SDG2 and digital information, our contribution, and we believe it is, we now live the era of digital sequence information, so basically we can generate digital sequence information so fast and so cheap. So we are enabling laboratories in developing countries in DSI in relation to plants, to plant research, and looking very carefully at biotic and the biotic stress tolerance. So thanks to DSI, we can then move to genome editing or other omic techniques in order to enable our scientists to develop our plant varieties which are resistant to diseases, and also which are able to grow in marginal soil. And I think this will be a very important revolution in the next years coming to 2030. We need to move very fast growing plants in very marginal environments. Due to climate change, these marginal environments will increase, and also the number of pests will also become more aggressive. So we need to move quickly and bring science to our countries that can create varieties in order to cope with these stresses. And also, we now started a major program in our 3 components and in our scientific network around in all our countries, looking at soil health and also plant microbiomes, because this is also a novel frontier. This will allow us to decrease the use of agrochemicals, because understanding soil health and soil biodiversity will improve our ability to harness this information and to bring to our farmers innovative ways using microbes in order to grow our crops without the use of agrochemicals, and also providing rather cheap solutions, which will combine also with other digital technologies, especially related to sensor technology. So I want to finish here. So just the message I want to say: we're a scientific institution bringing high-tech science to developing countries and the latest technologies, and we're always looking for multilateral activities, bilateral activities to achieve the goals locally as well as globally. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Venturi. Thanks very much for that overview, brief but very interesting overview of the work of IGCEB, and particularly, and I'll use the word again, exciting and very promising technologies you explained to us there in genetic engineering in what we can consider a changing environment. So thanks very much for that. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll now move on, please, to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Parmesh Shah. He's the global lead for rural livelihoods and agricultural jobs, agriculture at the World Bank in Washington, DC. Mr. Shah, please.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Clark. It's a very great privilege to be invited to this session, and I'll just spend some time on describing how we in the World Bank are approaching digital agri-foods, digitizing and transforming agri and food systems. I'm the global lead for data-driven digital agriculture at the Agriculture and Food Global Practice, and we currently have around 36 countries adopting digital and data-driven solutions across the world, and a lot of them are in Africa. So I'll just quickly run you through an example of a country which has really invested very systematically in not only a transformation strategy, but also a roadmap, and also made systemic investments in digitizing and also creating an innovation ecosystem. So this is Valentine Barasa, a banana farmer, who has increased her sales 150% and market price by 63%. And how has she done it? We have realized that Africa has almost like 1,000 agri-tech and fintech startups, which are really developing creative solutions all the time. What they don't get is an opportunity to work with farmer platforms. So I'll give you some examples. You have DigiCow, which is Uberizing the veterinary services. You have Helitractor, which is Uberizing farm mechanization. You have Digital Green, which has produced thousands of videos with farmers and created the digital library for video services, which were used during COVID on WhatsApp. And then you have IoT sensors being used for soil testing, so that soil testing reports are available on mobile phones in 10 minutes. And then you have Sun Culture working on solar power. So we can keep on going. So the major strategy is first to source already existing innovations, because smallholders require last mile service delivery and people who are accessible to them. The digital technologies will not reach smallholders unless and we bring in the innovation community in countries. So world over, there are about 12,000 startups. In Africa, there are 1,000. And we are trying to run series of innovation challenges with other development partners in private and public sector to source these innovators. So, but it's not enough to just invest in innovators. You have to build data capability And that's what Kenya has established, a big data center with satellite data, the weather data, crop data, the financial data, and has created 24, 25 applications, and has even developed e-services for supplying fertilizers and other kinds of things. And then also invested in a 1 million farmer platform where the innovations can be continuously done, because technology is evolving. If you do static digital technologies, it will not change. So you need to create a pipeline of innovations, innovators working with farmers all the time. And from this, what we have found that there are 3 investments you need to do at the policy level as well as the implementation level. You need a data ecosystem. Without data, innovations cannot happen. And so you need to create data as a public good. We are working with FAO and a number of other international organizations to have this data accessible to all the countries in a way that they can use this data. The second is developing the innovation ecosystem for content creation, service delivery, so that you have all these innovators working with farmers and continuously developing applications and doing proof of concept. And the third is the institutional innovation. Kenya has invested in a chief digital officer in Ministry of Agriculture. And I think the ministries of agriculture will have to be transformed to build data innovation and digital capacities as they go forward. World Bank and IFC, which is our private sector arm, we invest in digital innovations on agriculture productivity, on supply chain linkages and efficiencies, access to finance, and also the environmental and climate benefits. So you need to invest in the whole food system in order to have a beneficial impact for smallholders and other SMEs which are in this field. So I would also like you to access a lot of resources. We have an open learning campus network, which has 6,000 people, and a lot of material is available on innovations happening all over the world. And we would like to collaborate with many people on this call. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Clark.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shah, and absolutely perfect timing there, I would say. Thanks very much.
Mr. Clark, you're muted.
Sorry, let me start again. Thanks very much for pointing that out. So I just said thank you very much for the presentation, Mr. Shah, and just to really appreciate some of the things there regarding the World Bank's activities and work in terms of investment, particularly giving the examples of Kenya. And what really stood out, I say, was the point you were making about the importance of data, but also the availability of data and the innovation ecosystems. And I just personally also very much like the very specific example of an individual person. So we're doing very well on time. Let's press on. Thank you very much, Mr. Shah. And our last speaker in this session, please, if I can invite to the floor, Mr. Dioscore Shikama, who's the Executive Chairman at Food Bundles in Kigali, Rwanda. Mr. Shikama, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. So at Food Bundles, we are a tech company which is helping smallholder farmers to access our market, where we help them to reduce post-harvest loss, which is currently recorded at 40% of the entire harvest. And also we are now consumers in the city to access fresh and at affordable price. So in regard of the topic in terms of transformation, so you can't take transformation without considering the traditional practices, whereby in the value chain where we operate, either in Rwanda and the Zambian, between a farmer and a consumer, there are so many middlemen. And those people keep changing the prices, they don't add value, and also they're not scalable because it's not off-farm jobs which can be scalable. So in the line of a transformation, what Food Bundles has been trying to do is not replacing the average of 5 middlemen which exists in a traditional market, whereby a farmer has to rely to those people in order to access the market, yet there is still post-harvest loss. By replacing digital tools which enable a farmer to have a direct access to the market, particularly the urban market, where the consumers now they are able to source from farmers directly. So food bundles, we have what we call aggregators, which we think it's a new way of transforming the value chain by replacing the 5 middlemen by one single middleman, whose role is no longer price deduction, price setting, but instead quality control and also recording the supplied food from the farmers, whereby the farmers are now able to receive money directly to their mobile money wallet. This brings financial inclusion, which is very critical. And also they now create a new, more off-farm jobs, whereby these young people in the rural area, instead of migrating into the urban area, they can stay in a rural village, and they became our aggregators, who are technically like mobile money agents in the other telecom industry. So one of the challenges we noticed and we hope will be addressed through this roadmap is the distribution of knowledge and also distribution of resources. There is no way we can achieve the transformation without those two elements. In terms of distribution of knowledge, I'm very happy that there is a UNESCO part of the organization. We are looking forward whereby we can have non-accredited courses whereby they start developing the content in partnership with, actually in the last year of the students, teach them their solutions as a way of creating their own knowledge, because relying on the quality of skilled people the industry needs. And I think there is a huge role the private sector can play into that by at least cooperating with the academic courses. Number two, which is resources. There is human resource, there is a capital. I really appreciate very much the previous speaker, Mr. Pamesh, who gave an example of the need of investment. So the agri-tech, which is the core of what we are trying to do here, it's not, agriculture was left behind for a very long time. And I know all of you, in particular on the continent of Africa, whereby the country, they don't even invest 10% of their GDP, which is a very problem. And also those countries, they don't even invest 1% of GDP in research and development as recommended by UNESCO. That creates a very burden for young innovators who are trying to create solutions. So we are hoping part of the roadmap is how can we have different financial instruments which enable innovators and entrepreneurs to actually have financial resources to develop and deploy the technical solution as you're looking for scalability as well. So in our experience, we think there is so much policy change which happened, which is good, but there is less concrete solution on the ground, and which is very commendable. We are looking forward to play a big role and partner with a couple of institutions who are here so that we can address other problems from farmers and also young developers. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Shikama. There were unfortunately some glitches there, so some small part of that was lost, but the large majority was clear. So thank you very much for that slightly different perspective, from the private sector perspective, and a bit more, I would say, on the ground or real challenges that people are facing, and how those technologies are really being used as I said, on the ground for solving these problems, and particularly the one you mentioned on more direct sourcing. So thanks very much indeed for that presentation, and apologies there were some glitches there to your presentation. So that has brought us to the end of this session. So let me please thank or give a huge amount of thanks to the distinguished panel members for their presentations, their perspectives, their insights and ideas and really explanations and overviews provided on the agri systems. I see we are a little over. I don't know if we have time for any questions here. Julia, can I just ask if we have questions or we should proceed with the next session?
I think you have time for a couple of questions. I will paste them in the chat right now. Give me 1 second.
Thank you. Okay, so I mean, they're not specifically directed at anyone, but if I please propose the first question which has come up, I don't think we'll have time to deal with all of them. And please, if any panelist wishes to volunteer, if you raise your hand. So are there any plans to maximize productivity? So it's jumping around. Are there any plans to maximize productivity of agricultural produce in Africa digitally? Well, we've heard some. If anyone wishes to expand on that, please.
Ezra, can I come in on this one?
Please do. Please do.
Thanks a lot. I think productivity is the real frontier. And when I gave you the example of mechanization, Africa, the mechanization grows at a single digit, and it's not been growing significantly. So what we found that Africa has a number of tractors, large ones, and smallholders are never able to access them in time. So what we have done is linked, all tractors are fitted with a GPS device, now Hello Tractor and number of other startups. And then smallholders have an access to an Uber-like app by which they have started accessing mechanization tools in a very efficient way. And productivity has increased by 40% in the areas where this innovation has been tried out. Similar thing is on soil testing. Similar thing is on others. So I think what is needed for productivity increase is a combination of digitizing the key ingredients, whether we take soil testing, mechanization, extension, and then finally the digital finance to ensure that people have resources to invest. So I think at aggregate level, we are seeing 20 to 30% increase in productivity across many crops in Africa when these situations are used in a bundled way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else, any of the other panelists from this session like to add to that, please? Yes, please. Mr. Shikama, please go ahead.
Yes, good. Yeah, so there's a question number 4 and 5 whereby they ask what's the role of agricultural technology playing in the rural area, the farther world, and also what are the kind of job creation from agri-tech. So number 1 is access to market and access to information is one of the challenges in the rural area, which can be easily solved by digital solutions. Everyone in the rural area, despite the distribution of electricity and the power, they have a mobile phone. And what the usage of the mobile phone if we are not creating value to the information the farmers are getting? So in our case, we are able to provide what we call market price index, whereby the farmer knows exactly other items price in the market. And that information decide or help the farmer to know which crop to grow and which price to negotiate when they're selling what they have, which is very critical. And also it plays a very huge role in aggregation because there are so many smallholder farmers whereby no one is meeting the minimum quantity that you would purchase. If you have a truck, you have to aggregate from maybe 100 or more smallholder farmers. Imagine now if you have to do that and you are aggregating for maybe 5 trucks. So you have to deal with 500 farmers. If there is no technology solution, that would be very, very difficult. And another additional value inclusion, the moment in our transaction of smallholder farmers, you are able now to bring them in a financial industry where the banks can read their capacity and so on, so they can do other financial services. Last but not least, in terms of road agriculture, agri-tech can create. I gave an example of food bundles, what we did, which is independent aggregators. So for people that are familiar with a mobile money agent, so what we did, we have an agent in the rural area who use our platform to aggregate food, and the value of aggregated product, we give them a commission. So this end up giving them more money, they earn more money, they are very independent, and they don't necessarily need to have a land or money or anything else. But depending on their ICT knowledge, they are able to be part of formal, half informal job creation. So that's my contribution.
Okay, thank you. Thanks very much. I'm going to bring up a rather different question, if anyone would like to please respond on this, and that's on indigenous knowledge. So we have a specific question here on how to use technology to transmit indigenous knowledge to different generations, i.e. the exchange of knowledge on agriculture and technology.
Can I come in, Dr. Clark, on this?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot. I think the whole experiment that India has come up with in terms of TKDL, the Traditional Knowledge Digital Library, is something where India has digitalized all the traditional knowledge that is there, both on practice and ground, and also in the ancient scriptures, where traditional knowledge through folklore, through practices and publications, all have been captured, put in a digital library, and now is being allowed to be used not just by government agencies, but also by private sector enterprises. And this, I think, is something which is extremely important. The formats and the template within which this data is collected is extremely relevant for agriculture varieties, agriculture knowledge in terms of irrigation, soil protection, and many other areas that have been documented. So I think digitalization of knowledge is something which is extremely important when it comes to traditional practices. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask any other panel member? We could have one more question. I mean, one more response on that, on the indigenous knowledge question.
Hello,
please, Mr.
Doctor.
Tiang. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I have an answer for question number 5. How will agri-tech tech job creation, will it enhance production and still require human skills? I have 2 points to share. The first one is to increase the training of professional talent, such as digital agriculture technology innovation talent, production and operation talents, and management service talents, and optimize the digital agriculture business and employment environment. The second point is establish a regular training mechanism for grassroots agricultural technicians to help farmers to understand the transformative effects of digital technology on agricultural production and operation, and improve their voice in digital agriculture. So the human-centric and for farmer sustainable development is very important for agriculture digitalization. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tian Fang. We are now coming to the end of our session, so we will move to the closing part, please. So we have a short closing part, which is really looking at the way forward. And for this, the first of our speakers is Alex Rehel, the team leader, senior economic affairs officer, integrated policy analysis research division for sustainable development goals at UNDESA. Mr. Rehel, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very honored to join this closing segment with my esteemed colleague, Mr. Torero Cullen. My name is Richard Alexander Röhrl, and I'm heading the UN Technology Facilitation Mechanism at UN headquarters. And rest assured that our department remains firmly committed to this work that was presented here today on roadmaps. As we wrap up this special event marking the launch of STI Roadmap work on digital technologies in agriculture, I thank you all for your participation and engagement. In particular, I would like to thank the co-organizers of this event. Of course, FAO, our Tech Envoy Office, UNESCO, the European Commission's Joint Research Center. A big thank you, of course, also to Mr. Jose Ramon Lopez Portillo and Mr. Ezra Clark for their very competent moderation, as always. And above all, to my colleagues behind this event, Wayne, you, Silveraggio. Why is this work really so important? Let's not forget that the miracles of modern life, whether it's living standards, food, health, and so on, they're really ultimately the result of innovations. And these are in turn the result of cumulative accelerating progress in science and technology. Yet we know that billions of people remain largely excluded from these benefits. And in no sector are these dividing lines as stark as in the agriculture sector. That is why we have these immense benefits from achieving a sustainability transition of the agri-food system. And we heard all these numbers. I don't need to spell them out, but I'm incredibly impressed knowing that we could halve the overall hidden costs of the agri-food system of currently at 12 trillion US dollars. Just healthier diets alone can save 4 million lives by mid-century. That's similar to the death toll of the COVID pandemic. The Food and Land Use Coalition came up with this estimate of $350 billion of additional investment that could result in 6 trillion of gains, overall gains by 2030 already. It could double growth of rural incomes, create an additional 120 million decent jobs. Why I'm saying this? I'm just saying is there couldn't be a better investment. And we need tailor-made solutions. Country differences are huge, and precisely these roadmap initiatives that can help focus and coordinate investments and initiatives in the right direction. Let me say I've been impressed by the experiences and solutions that were presented here today by the distinguished speakers. I'm confident that if we continue down this path, we will have a chance to get back on track for the SDGs. But we need a clear idea of our pathway forward towards this sustainable future for all, also at the global level, and much more needs to be done there to make sure that they're in line and support the national road mapping exercises. This is too vast a mandate for the UN to advance on its own, but also too important for stakeholders from across the world to stay away from. And therefore, I invite you all to come together to engage with the UN, whether in the TFM at UN headquarters or directly with FAO in the field. In closing, let me say that I'm encouraged by our discussions here today. They lay the groundwork for just the kind of transformative actions that are needed. I look forward to seeing this initiative continue growing in size and impact. My congratulations to you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Riol, and apologies for mispronouncing your name twice in a row. So in a small change to the agenda, unfortunately, the FAO chief economist, Massimo Terra-Cullen, who we very much appreciated in the opening remarks, had to leave for another appointment. So apologies for that. And I will therefore hand back to Dr. Jose Ramon, who will give some final words and conclusion. So thank you very much from my side.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ezra Clark, for your very efficient moderation and your kind words. I also thank Mr. Alex Rural, who always has some very wise comments, and now he outlined the way forward in strengthening STI for agricultural production and consumption. I just want to say, one final reflection. More than 25 years ago, I was chairman of the Council of the FAO, and we dealt with the World Food Summit, 1996. And that world, the world we saw then, is very different from the one we are facing now. Not so much because there are still 800 million people, you know, who are food insecure and hungry, but because mainly, I mean, not only the world has changed, but also STI has moved at an amazing pace. Their reach, efficiency, cost, synergy of technologies has increased. On the other hand, it is proven that countries which join it in an efficient way can leapfrog to higher stages of development and welfare. But on the other hand, we see that the great majority of that effort is in the hands of a few countries and a few corporations. And we are risking now the possibility that only a few will take them and survive, thrive, while the rest does not. And this is a big issue that we must confront. We must all engage in taking STI as serious as we can. For more than 25 years, what we have seen in technological change is happening in the rest of this decade, or probably faster than that, because artificial intelligence and digital technologies have proven to be so powerful that they can change the total profile of agricultural production and of food security. So what do? We have very little time to really move on towards a globally coherent, resilient, far-reaching, scalable, self-learning, self-reinforcing ecosystem of innovation and of adoption of digital technologies and AI. And we must do this in a collaborative, free, inclusive, sustainable, and coherent manner, avoiding the discrimination of countries, social groups, gender, and particularly small farmers and vulnerable communities. We've seen this in your statements. And so this is my final thought and a request. Please call for writing to DESA about the suggestions after this meeting. Any thoughts you have, please do so. And invite all to join the discussion and roadmap work that we have started. This contribution is going to be crucial. Well, this is the last thing I have to say. We are still the 3 minutes before the end of this meeting. I thank you very much, panelists of session number 1 and session number 2, and to our great moderator, and to DESA and all the UN staff who have been great. I think this kind of meeting should really be, exponentiated in the future. Is there any other thing that I must take into account, Alex?
Just wanting to say thank you, Jose Ramon.
Thank you very much. All right, well, then formally this session has finished.